That's so tiring when the gate starts to sag. Well, it may be that the post needs fixing, or the hinge needs to be moved, or you could keep moving this hardware. It doesn't even line up. You can also, if it's an old fence that's just starting to get loose, put a cable on here and a turnbuckle and bring this end back up, and that's what we're going to do. Now it lines up.
I've been using Gold Bond for about 6 years.
I've been a Gold Bond user for about 8 months now.
I've been a Gold Bond user for about 1 year.
Other powders just didn't seem to do the trick.
To me, Gold Bond was satisfying. It did the job that it said it would do.
You put it on, the itch is gone.
Get effective relief with Gold Bond medicated powder. Triple action Gold Bond medicates, absorbs, and soothes.
I like Gold Bond.
Gold Bond works.
Gold Bond really works.
Triple action Gold Bond. More than a powder, it's medication.
Welcome back to the Weekend Report for your national 5-day forecast. My name is Elaine Yim. Hope you're having a relaxing Sunday. We do have some active weather, though, across the country, which includes freezing rain, a snowfall warning, and as well as fog and snowfall. Now let's start with our satellite picture, and you'll see we have extensive cloud cover across Ontario as well as southern and central Quebec. What this is a warm front, and it's creating freezing rain in the northwestern regions, but exceptionally warm weather in southern Ontario, record-breaking temperatures, in fact, for Windsor and Sarnia, and also is causing record-breaking temperatures in Wawa and Geraldton. Prairies, looking good. We've got partially cloudy skies for Alberta as well as Saskatchewan, and improving conditions across Manitoba as the system is moving towards northwestern Ontario. We still have snow up in the north towards Gillam, Lynn Lake, The Pas, also to Thompson and Churchill. For the west coast, conditions are weakening. We did have a wind warning earlier, but that has been lifted for the Sunshine Coast, north and eastern portions of Vancouver Island. But rainfall for Vancouver, right into the interior and up the coast to the Yukon as well. Now we'll look at eastern Canada. We still have snow flurries for Sydney, Nova Scotia, as well as the Cape Breton Highlands, but we don't have a snowfall advisory in effect anymore. The low-pressure system is making its way into the Atlantic, and we do have snow showers for St. John's as well as Gander. Has been snowing in the area throughout the day, but no major accumulations because it is still in the seasonal mark of 1 and +2 degrees. Up towards Goose Bay, Labrador, though, it is a bit cooler, about -6 for the daytime high. We'll look at our system map, and I'll pinpoint where the weather systems are actually located. Here is the warm front, and with that, the golden lines you see here is fog. We've got different weather conditions in southern Ontario within miles of one another. For instance, in Windsor, it is exceptionally warm in the lower to mid-teens, while Toronto struggled today to see 7 degrees. Why? We've got a warm front here. Toronto is above the warm front, and then Windsor, London, and Woodstock is just underneath that system. And that's why they are not seeing the fog, just cloudy skies. Ridge of high pressure building across Alberta as well as Saskatchewan, and that's moving all the systems towards the east. Also with the warm front in Ontario, we are getting some moderate winds. With a closer look of the east coast, we have low-level clouds, but it's clearing out quite nicely for New Brunswick, and we are getting cloud cover right across Newfoundland with snow showers right up to the north. Southern Quebec and Ontario clouding over, and we do have some severe weather in terms of road conditions for Quebec. It includes Chibougamau, Sept-Îles towards the Gaspé Peninsula, Parc de la Gaspésie, Murdochville, and we also are looking at Matagami, Morrissey, and that means 5 millimeters to 10 millimeters of freezing rain, a glaze over the ground, making road conditions like black ice. Also for northwestern Ontario, the same weather conditions, which includes western Attawapiskat, southern Pickle Lake, and southern Sandy Lake. This will be in effect until the evening hours. satellite picture-wise, overcast throughout Thunder Bay, Dryden, and Kenora. Then it clears out for Winnipeg. And once again in the north, we still have snow flurries, and that's because of that low pressure system moving to the east. West Coast, here's the cloud cover with the cold front. The wind warning has been lifted, but we still have the snowfall warning for Whistler. 15 centimeters of snow by Monday morning. This afternoon, we'll have wet along the west coast, but clearing out, heading over the Rocky Mountains to Calgary and Edmonton. It will be very chilly tonight. Edmonton minus 12, Calgary minus 10 for the overnight low. And then to Saskatchewan, it also will be quite chilly, minus 10 as well, and minus 11 up to Saskatoon. Snow flurries continuing throughout the afternoon and evening for northern Ontario as well as northern Manitoba. By Monday, the system moves right over to Quebec, and that means snow and then showers south of the warm front. The warm front will move over the maritime provinces, bringing in the southerly flow. Temperatures will be above seasonal, but it will not be above seasonal for Newfoundland. We're looking at a daytime high of 1 degree or 0 from Gander across to St. John's. For Tuesday, snow flurries up to the Labrador area as well as Blanc-Sablon, Quebec, but sunshine peeking through the clouds for southern Quebec as well as throughout most of Ontario. The warm front over northwestern Ontario will bring milder temperatures, but cloud cover and scattered showers. And then the active weather develops for the west coast. We've got windy conditions, in fact, wind warnings, and the possibility of damage and power outages with this system. So please watch out for this. We also will get some snow flurries in the Rocky Mountains. By Wednesday, the system will start to weaken and move right over to Saskatchewan. But while it moves over, it's going to really lose its moisture. And we're talking just scattered showers and possibly just cloud cover. Otherwise, northwestern Ontario looking clear. For Thursday, we've got calm conditions with a ridge of high pressure building right from the deep south right up into the north. And then for western Canada also, you're finally getting some sunny breaks with a ridge of high pressure building and pushing all the precipitation south of the border towards Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. That's a look at your national forecast. Your local details are next.
At Discount, renting a car for the weekend is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Take a minute now, listen to me. Rent for 2 weekends, the third one's free.
That's right, free. Just rent a car for any 2 weekends, and your third weekend's free. We'll pick you up and drop you off. Free. So you're free to go anywhere, do anything. Discount weekends. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Call Discount. We want your business, and we'll come right to your door to get it.
Discount Car and Truck Rentals. We want your business, and we'll come right to your front door to get it.
Hello, I'm Elaine Yim with your Weekend Report weather news. Wintry weather settled into parts of the prairies today. The Paul, Manitoba saw freezing rain earlier. The snow continues to fall in northern parts of the province, with accumulations expected to reach 10 centimeters later tonight. Meanwhile, the freezing rain warning has been lifted for all of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but the warning remains in effect for northern Ontario and into northwestern and central Quebec for tonight. It wasn't much of a record-breaking day for most of southern Ontario, despite predictions of warm temperatures. Cloudy skies and thick fog patches rolled in overnight as a warm, moist air mass surged northward across the region. Temperatures were predicted to rise, but the clouds have kept the sun from warming things up. However, Sarnia did reach 15.2 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees above its old record set back in 1975. Rain, snow, and cold temperatures have been hitting California. Colder temperatures than normal were experienced in Los Angeles on Saturday, along with rain, while the mountains received a heavy snowfall. It's one of California's first winter storms this season, and it's blamed for dozens of highway accidents. 2 people died in separate wrecks in and around Los Angeles. In Central America, weather problems continue in Honduras. 4 days of heavy rains are causing fears of mudslides. Floods and heavy rains are forcing the evacuation of thousands of people from the north. The country is still trying to recover from the devastation of Hurricane Mitch, which struck a few weeks ago. More than 6,000 people were killed by the hurricane, and another 8,000 people were left homeless. And in Bangladesh, floods have destroyed over 2 million tons of rice in the country. This means food production in the country will be down by about 75%. Earlier this year, the country was hit by some of the worst flooding in its history. It left 3/4 of the country submerged for more than 2 months. A tsunami warning issued by the U.S. Geological Survey for the islands of Indonesia has been lifted. A strong earthquake on or near of the island of Taliabu, about 370 kilometers south of Manado, Sulawesi, had sparked the warning throughout the Western Pacific. The earthquake had a magnitude of 7.6, and large quakes of this nature have been known to spark tsunamis or tidal waves. As Tropical Storm Nicole heads back out to sea in the Atlantic, the 1998 hurricane season is winding down. This season was one of the deadliest in more than 200 years. Storms left a staggering trail of death and destruction across Central America and the Caribbean. The season, which started June 1st, ends on Monday. As winter spreads across North America, many people like to feed the birds to help them through the colder season. But there are important things to consider before you start this hobby. Shelley Steeves has been finding out a little bit more about feeding our feathered friends.
Found in many backyards from October to May, bird feeders come in various shapes and sizes. From simple corn and nuts on
the wind out of the south at 8 miles an hour, barometric pressure's on the rise, and we've had just under 1/3 of an inch of rain for the day. Our high this afternoon was 45 degrees, the morning low 38, and those temperatures are really on target for where we should be this time of year. You know, it was just 3 years ago, back in 1995, that we set our record high for this date at 56 degrees. The early warning Doppler radar this evening is showing some areas of showers, but most of the rain you see here is fairly light. It does get heavier, though, as you go east on I-90 and make your way from Issaquah to North Bend and then into the Cascades, where it's falling in the form of snow, and it has been snowing most of the day at Snoqualmie and Stevens Passes. That snow will gradually be tapering off this evening, and then there'll be more of it for tomorrow. You look at the satellite photos, now you can see all the cool air that's with us. That's what these little speckled clouds out here in the Pacific represent. But our next system starts to come into view now, and this is it right in here. And you can see all these clouds here off the coast of California. Well, those are going to be making a beeline toward us as we head toward tomorrow afternoon, and that'll be bringing us some more rain. And then there's another system that doesn't show up on the satellite just yet. That one's going to be coming in for Tuesday afternoon and into Wednesday. So for tonight, if you have plans to get outside, just be ready for a few areas of light rain and temperatures dropping down into the upper 30s and low 40s. We'll have a low of 40 degrees in Seattle and 36 in Olympia. A little bit farther east and over east of Lake Washington, your overnight low temperatures are also going to be down into the mid-30s. Bellevue down to about 40 degrees, 37 for Bothell, and 38 in Redmond. So we start off the day tomorrow much like we did today, with the clouds and some areas of light showers. As you get the kids ready to go to school tomorrow, send them off to the bus stop. Probably want to go ahead and put a raincoat on them because we will see the rain through the day. 46 for high in Seattle, 45 in Redmond, and 45 degrees tomorrow also in Bremerton. Now a little farther south, you're going to run into some heavier rain, especially as you make your way toward the south coast. High temperatures here tomorrow will also be in the mid to upper 40s. And our north sound forecast also features some rain tomorrow and highs running anywhere from about 43 to 45 degrees. In the Cascades, I mentioned there'll be more snow, with the snow level staying right about 2,000 feet. And parts of eastern Washington tomorrow will start off with some snow in the morning. Now that'll be changing over into rain in the afternoon. High temperatures here running from the mid-30s to the mid-40s. So tonight, periods of showers for western Washington, a light southerly wind, and temperatures in the 40s. You'll wake up tomorrow morning with cloudy skies and some areas of light rain, and then tomorrow afternoon the showers will be increasing with highs in the mid to upper 40s. Now, heavier rain is coming in for Tuesday, and I think we're going to continue to see more of that rain as we make our way toward Wednesday of next week. It is the latter parts of the week, though, where the weather gradually begins to improve, where there's still a chance of showers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but I think we'll see a little bit of sun in there. The trade-off here is with the not as wet weather that the temperatures will be cooler. You can see highs down in the low 40s and those overnight lows down into the 30s, so it'll feel cooler to start off December.
No kidding. Thanks a lot, Todd.
Coming up next on KOMO 4 News, the pressure was on John Kitna tonight.
Can the Tacoma native pull the Seahawks out of their slump in his first start at quarterback this year?
Oilers take over.
Its stock rose on Friday. The combined value of all its stock shares rose to nearly $320 billion. General Electric is second richest with more than $300 billion as of Friday. No other company has reached that mark. Did you ever want to tell your boss what you really think? Here's one way without saying a word.
Tropical cyclone further northwest, moving west-northwest towards the southern tip of the Philippines. Now that could develop into the tropical cyclone in the next 24 hours, could be a typhoon. We'll keep our eye on that. We're also keeping our eye on a couple of frontal systems in Europe. One low-pressure system in Eastern Europe, and that's heading off toward the Arab Gulf nations and affecting those areas off the map. Another one in Scandinavia with a cold front extending into Germany and France, leaving behind some very cool temperatures, especially in France, where we've seen some deaths associated with that. Now here's a look around the globe for the rest of your travel needs. Well, it's beginning to look a lot like spring in some portions of the country, especially into southern Ontario. Take advantage of that on Sunday, people, because by Monday things are going to be back to seasonal and it will be feeling a lot more like Christmas. On Sunday, where we are seeing some of this precipitation in southern and southwestern Ontario, we are also expecting to see some double-digit highs. 10 degrees expected in both Toronto and Ottawa. That's not too bad. And here's another hint. South of the border, you can even see a high of 16 if you head on down to New York. In the east, though, things much more wintry. New Brunswick can expect to receive some light snow in the morning. That will become freezing rain in the afternoon and will taper off to mere showers and rain into the evening hours. Now, back west, we're going to see cool and cloudy conditions right across the prairies, and we may even see some sunny breaks into southern portions of BC.
Environmental reporting on the Weather Network includes air quality readings, where available. The data used in this report is provided by the provincial or municipal environmental department in your region.
Every once in a while, you need to inspect your house to see if it's time to paint it. Here's wooden siding, and this paint has held up remarkably
Parts of
well.
Ontario and Quebec, and on Sunday, that will include New Brunswick as well.
And I am certainly watching Whistler, British Columbia. Keeping my fingers crossed. Good weather. Stay tuned.
comments or suggestions? Call our talkback line at 1-800-463-9463. Give us your feedback. After all, it's your Weather Network.
Sunshine and comfort in your house. You need to plan for proper shading so that we get the sun in the winter and we don't in the summer. Evergreens on the south side of the house, well, they don't lose their leaves, so they won't let that sun in the wintertime. It's leaf trees on that south side. They protect you in the summer and they let the sun in the wintertime. Let's take a look at how
In portions of Manitoba, we could see a low of -14 in some areas, and we have seen some ice crystals in northern portions of Manitoba, such as Thompson. Now, further east, you can see where this system is and making its way east. Not too bad in southernmost and southwesternmost parts of Ontario, but again, north of there and east of there is where we do have this freezing rain warning. That's from about southern Geraldton through to Sudbury and reaching as far north as around the Timmins area, and moving eastward to Ottawa Hull in Ontario. Now in Quebec, that of course extends to Montreal and up the St. Lawrence towards Saguenay and towards Chibougamau in the north, and as far west as Mattagami. So that's going to be quite a large area that is and will be affected by this freezing rain. And in the east, things are clear right now, but what is going to happen on Sunday is we're going to see some snow in the early morning hours in parts of New Brunswick, and then of course that is going to change to freezing rain, indicated by this red area here, and that includes Grand Falls and Victoria County, Mount Carlton, and Edmundston and Madawaska County. So take care there. It's going to be freezing rain that will dissipate through the course of the day, but in the afternoon, not a good time to get out in the car. Jill?
Yikes, indeed. Please take care for that freezing rain warning. Well, in the United States, some precipitation there, and Alyssa will show us that in just a second. I still can't get over this. There was a record in New York City Friday of 22 degrees. That's unbelievable. I still can't believe that. A record high, 22 degrees on Friday. I don't know. I don't think that'll continue for too much longer. Let's take a look now at that continental radar shot.
Yes, and it's only going to be a chilly 16 degrees in New York City on Sunday, Jill. Oh, dear. But no, you can see a little bit of precipitation associated with this low-pressure system that's bringing all the freezing rain to these areas I just mentioned in Ontario and Quebec. However, most of the precipitation in the U.S. is in the west coast, and that's in Washington, as you can see. That same system that's been affecting British Columbia, that is what's bringing the rain to those areas. And for the last couple of days in northeastern portions of Texas, we've had some flash flood warnings. You can't see it on the map. Or flood warnings, rather. No flash floods. Flood warnings, people, in northeastern Texas, and that continues. But otherwise, it's relatively calm right across the U.S., as you can see. And you can see, actually, where the center of the low is that's bringing all of this precipitation into Ontario and Quebec. Let's have a look at that on Sunday. That low moves into New Brunswick, as I mentioned. Now, Newfoundland, not looking too bad, but the rest of the Maritimes are going to be affected by precipitation in one form or another. Southern Ontario, it's going to see some cloud. In southwestern Ontario, Windsor, yes, you are going to see some really nice mid-teen temperatures. Hard to believe. You are also going to see some of that wet stuff, but definitely no danger of snow there, right? At least we can look at that bright side. And behind that, a ridge of high pressure dominating. That's great. However, what's happening is these cool temperatures that we've been seeing, seasonal temperatures in the prairies, that is going to continue on into Monday. It's going to move eastward, and it's going to affect southern Ontario as well. So Manitoba and Ontario, it is going to be downright chilly, although, again, as I mentioned, seasonal. That is when this front moves into the BC coast.
It may be the nation's capital, but Ottawa has a lot more to offer than just politics. Millions of tourists flock here every year to take in some of the country's finest museums and cultural activities. Every spring, the city blossoms during the Tulip Festival, a colorful tribute to the stay of the Dutch royal family during the Second World War. Ottawa's summers, like those in the rest of southern Ontario, are hot and sometimes very humid, with an average daytime high of 26 degrees in July.
I'm Jill Taylor with your Earthwatch News Update. It was another wet and windy day for British Columbians. A Pacific frontal system moved down the coast Saturday, bringing high winds and precipitation. Snowfall accumulations of up to 15 centimeters were expected for Howe Sound, while elevations below 300 meters are seeing rain. The precipitation is expected to taper off overnight. Well, of course, residents of Vancouver have seen their share of wind and rain over the past several weeks. In fact, the month of November was one of the wettest and stormiest on record. Les Criffenden tells us more.
It was a month of both active and powerful weather for the Vancouver area. It was not only wetter than normal, there were significant storms that produced some serious problems for insurance companies and BC Hydro.
Two storms right after another, one night and then the next night of almost 100 kilometer-an-hour winds. It's tough to say why it all happened in the month of November. This time of year, I mean, we get these very strong storms. More this month for some reason than typical November.
That windstorm on the 23rd was described as one of the strongest to hit the West Coast in 10 years and knocked out power to more than 200,000 hydro customers, some who were left without service for 3 days. For repair crews, the task of getting customers back online was made more difficult by downed power lines and hydro poles, not to mention all the rain that fell during the week. And just a little over a week prior to that windstorm, a torrential downpour caused widespread flooding in parts of Vancouver and neighboring communities. But with all this active weather, there was a silver lining. During the last week of November, all that precipitation that fell as rain in the city was snow at higher elevations, and that was great news for local ski hill operators who were able to open 3 weeks ahead of last year.
The first snowfalls are dense, and once you can get onto them and hold on to them, that's the base that you work on for the rest of the season. And I say it's an excellent base, and where we go from here is just up.
Meantime, back in the city, the cleanup operation continues. And while some residents may feel a little shell-shocked, they shouldn't forget that November and December are traditionally the wettest and stormiest months of the year. For the Weather Network, I'm Les Criffenden in Vancouver.
Well, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in parts of the prairies. An early winter storm dumped snow across southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. The heaviest snowfall was in Carnduff, which saw 40 centimeters of snow, while the city of Estevan received 29 centimeters. In Manitoba, more than 30 centimeters of snow fell in the Brandon region. Well, the same system is expected to bring freezing rain to areas of eastern Canada from Thunder Bay all the way to New Brunswick. Well, it was a great ride, but it looks like it's come to an end. For the past few days, South and Central Ontario had been bathing in record-breaking warm weather. Windsor broke their record-high temperature on Saturday with a mark of 16.7 degrees. 3 other high-temperature records fell Friday. Records that were tied or broken in the province included Geraldton, which saw a high of 1.4, Waterloo, which hit 13.9, and Toronto, which reached a temperature of 15.9 degrees. But temperatures in the province are already cooling off and should remain seasonal through to Monday. Unfortunately, the spring-like conditions are not good for ski hill operators. Chris McDermott has more.
Usually by now, Mount St. Louis Moonstone would be covered with man-made and natural snow, and at least 5 or 6 runs would be open, allowing keeners to get an early start on the season. But so far, that hasn't been the case. This Southern Ontario ski resort is weeks behind schedule. In a region where snowmaking is vital to the viability of many ski areas, warm weather and a lack of frost has left operators a little jittery about when the cold will come.
Snowmaking in our industry right now is sort of our insurance to make sure that we're going to be open.
Robert Huter's family owns and operates this ski resort, north of Toronto. He's hoping that a cold snap will come along soon and allow the guns to get back to work.
Right now there's no frost in the ground, and so we definitely need a little frost and then some colder temperatures. We're looking for some -5s, and at that point we'll start the guns up.
The Huter family has spent millions installing a state-of-the-art snowmaking system, but it's useless when the temperature is above -5 degrees Celsius. On top of that, the ground has to freeze before the snow can begin to accumulate.
And the other problem that you've got when you're making snow, you're actually insulating the ground, so the ground is going to continue to stay warm. Just the fact that as you're building the snow up, you're creating that insulation factor.
For ski hill operators, December 26th is D-Day. If they don't have enough runs open by then to handle the busy holiday season, the 98-99 ski year may not be a profitable one. For the Weather Network, I'm Chris McDermott in Coldwater, Ontario.
And parts of North Australia are bracing for another tropical cyclone, this one named Thelma. A cyclone watch is in effect for coastal and island communities, even though Thelma is practically stationary at the moment. More to come. Stay with us.
Hold on to them. That's the base that you work on for the rest of the season. And I say it's an excellent base, and where we go from here is just up.
Meantime, back in the city, the cleanup operation continues. And while some residents may feel a little shell-shocked, they shouldn't forget that are traditionally the wettest and stormiest months of the year. For the Weather Network, I'm Les Crittenden in Vancouver.
Well, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in parts of the prairies. An early winter storm dumped snow across southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. The heaviest snowfall was in Carnduff, which saw 40 centimeters of snow, while the city of Estevan received 29 centimeters. In Manitoba, more than 30 centimeters of snow fell in the Brandon region. Well, the same system is expected to bring freezing rain to areas of eastern Canada from Thunder Bay all the way to New Brunswick. Well, it was a great ride, but it looks like it's come to an end. For the past few days, South and Central Ontario had been bathing in record-breaking warm weather. Windsor broke their record-high temperature on Saturday with a mark of 16.7 degrees. 3 other high-temperature records fell Friday. Records that were tied or broken in the province included Geraldton, which saw a high of 1.4, Waterloo, which hit 13.9, and Toronto, which reached a temperature of 15.9 degrees. But temperatures in the province are already cooling off and should remain seasonal through to Monday. Unfortunately, the spring-like conditions are not good for ski hill operators. Chris McDermott has more.
Usually by now, Mount St. Louis Moonstone would be covered with man-made and natural snow, and at least 5 or 6 runs would be open.
The Big E is a little lighter in the pocket. Colin Campbell continued his crackdown by fining Flyers center Eric Lindros for an attempted slash on Buffalo's Jay McKee. Lindros was fined $1,000, the maximum allowable amount under the NHL's contract with the Players Union. Lindros was not suspended for the incident.
This segment brought to you by The Knack. With 30 razor-sharp edges loaded in a patented safety cartridge, There's never a dull moment with the Nash utility knife.
Just one taste, that's all it takes, yeah, just one taste, a country style.
Go ahead. Quite a race on, some auger and back behind, so
numbers through 10 rounds. And
me like, where you gonna stay, boy?
Get out of here, then. While my girlfriends are out there trying their very own psychic readings, I want to
I really applied what I learned in college.
Because of Global Unstudying Broadcast, I love it. The internship got my career off the ground.
For information, contact Global at 81 Barber Green Road, Toronto, Ontario, M3C.
Own home. Wait a little longer to be married.
Gerbils in there, I don't know. They can only go left.
Right here, stop.
Wait! Who's after you?
Nobody, but thanks for the test drive.
The EL from Acura, designed with purpose, driven by passion.
You're watching Headline Sports.
Off to the Georgia Dome for the SEC Championship. T. Martin and the Volunteers looking to get on the board with the long ball, but Peerless Price falls down. Robert Bean tips it to himself. A great pickoff. He crosses midfield, and he's looking for some blocking. And Mr. Bean is going to get it right there, and it's going to spring him the rest of the way. A 70-yard interception return for the major, 7-0 Mississippi State. And the Bulldogs look to add to that lead in the second quarter. Wayne Madkin avoids the rush, but he lofts one up that Deion Grant is going to camp underneath. Grant eludes a couple of would-be tacklers, gets to the outside. He might, he could. Nope, he gets knocked out of bounds at the 20-yard line, which really pleases this guy right here. That interception would lead to this run by Travis Stevens. A 3-yard touchdown plunge. Tennessee had a 10-7 lead at halftime. T. Martin threw for 2 touchdown passes 28 seconds apart in the fourth quarter to give Tennessee a 24-14 win, an SEC championship, a date at the Fiesta Bowl, and a chance at a national championship. Texas A&M and Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. 20-12 K-State in the third when Michael Bishop takes it.
The Weather Network's date file has 3 entries for December 6th. On this date in 1993, Typhoon Lola ripped across the Philippines. Hardest hit was the country's main island of Luzon, where the storm triggered floods and mudslides. Lola dumped almost 350 millimeters of rain in the area in just 24 hours. Almost 200 people were killed, and another 200,000 were left homeless. On this date in 1992, eastern Nova Scotia was battered for the second day in a row by a major snowstorm. The system brought heavy snowfall and strong winds to much of the area, which created treacherous driving conditions. And on this date in 1991, residents in central Canada and the northeastern United States were digging out after a major storm. Even though it was 2 weeks ahead of the first official day of winter, more than 50 centimeters of snow fell in some areas. Brisk winds caused blowing snow and created hazardous driving conditions. That's the Weather Network's date file for December 6th.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails.
This first one?
Yeah. Never forget your first one.
We fix them right, so the next time your car needs service, you'll bring it back.
Till we meet again.
We love cars.
Fed up with germs? We've created the instant hand sanitizers, Germ-X and Germ Blaster for kids.
Both kill up to 99.99% of all germs instantly without using water and leave no sticky residue. To prevent the spread of disease, use Germ-X and Germ Blaster for kids. They're essential for any of life's little moments that requires more than just a simple hand wash. The hand sanitizers Germ-X and Germ Blaster. Spread the habit.
Hello, I'm Jill Taylor with your Earthwatch News Update. Another low-pressure system brought heavy wind and precipitation to the BC coast.